Good evening, friends. Welcome to the session on fundamentals of Python. Welcome to the fundamentals of Python. So, I am going to tell you how to install the tools for this Python and also for machine learning. I am going to share my screen. Okay, I think you are able to see my screen. To Google Chrome and then type anaconda.com. So, in that, you will find product and individual window. So, click on that. So, I'll show you. Okay. So, and then here in products, go to individual edition. So, scroll down. You can see the Anaconda installers for Windows, for Mac, and for Linux. So, download these installers based upon your either your system is a 64-bit operating system or 32-bit. That install if yours is a Windows operating system or Mac or Linux. So, I have already installed. So, it after installing and running, the Anaconda navigator will open like this. So this is the interface of Anaconda navigator. We are going to use Jupyter Notebook. So this is the tool which we are going to use for learning and as well as Python. So you can click here, click launch. So then it will get launched. So I have already opened it. So this is the interface of Jupyter Notebook, or this is a home page for Jupyter Notebook. So in this, you can upload any Python file, whether you create in an general ID or in any other IDs. So you can open by clicking here, by clicking upload option. So you can open any Python program and you can edit in Jupyter Notebook. So I'm going to create new Python file. So this is the interface of rename your file by directly clicking this untitled name. So you can rename there. I have renamed the file as Python one. So here in Jupyter Notebook, these boxes are called as cells. Okay, in these cells we are going to write the code, and you can create more cells. So insert cell below, so it creates a new cell, or you can create a new cell by pressing Shift and Enter. Okay, Shift and Enter, or you can delete the cells easily. Okay, so I'm going to show you. So this is the drop down list where you can write a code. So if we select right here our Python code, or if we select this markdown, so then we can write it like a heading for this. it is, so it has created like a heading, like how we write comments in C and C program, by keeping slash and star, so as to, so that the other person can read that. Okay. And then we can create a raw NBC convert, and we can also create a heading, so like this heading. Okay, so in this way we can create either headings and markdown lines. Okay, so these are the command prompts. So we can change the cell, so we can change the cell to code, like heading code to heading cell to the code. So okay. And suppose, so there is toggle all line numbers, so it creates numbers for these lines, and we can simply delete this by clicking escape and L. Okay, so if we click escape, it's as numbers like, so when I clicked enter, it created a new serial number. And if I click escape and then L, the serial numbers will get removed. Okay, so in this way there are many such commands which will be used for Jupyter Notebook, which will be used in Jupyter Notebook. Okay, you can go through them. And these are some of the options below, and to cut the cells, to copy the cells, and to paste the cells. Okay, to move the cells. And this is the option. So if we want to print this in our output, so by clicking the run option, so we will get the output here. Okay, and this is the interrupt kernel. And so restart kernel, and then restart and rerun the whole notebook. So in this way there are some of the commands, so like edit command and view, edit and view and insert, and cell related to cell. Okay, so and after that you can save your Python file by clicking this save and checkpoint. And you can also download this download your Python file in your desired extension, like .html, .text, or .ipynb. Okay, generally this generally the code written in Python notebook will be downloaded or will be saved in the in .ipynb format. Okay, so and after downloading or after saving here, you can see your saved Python file in home page of Jupyter Notebook, like with this extension like .ipynb. Okay, and you can also download them in your desired extension. So this is about Jupyter Notebook. Now Himaja will continue the fundamentals of Python. Okay. By next class, please try to install this in your PC or laptops. And if you have any doubts regarding this installation, you can post in the comment box, or you can post in our WhatsApp group. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Anna, for such an amazing presentation. Well, once again, good evening, everyone, and I welcome all of you to this session. And I thank everybody for joining today's session. And yes, I'm Himaja, and I'll be starting with the fundamentals of Python. Let me share my screen. I hope my share is visible. Is it? Okay, somebody said no. Okay, let me just. Anjushi, is it not visible even now? Okay, sorry about that. So, yeah, so I think it's visible now clearly. Yes, thank you for that response. So, okay, let us get started. So, in this session, we are not trying to go for the hands on since we are not sure everybody has installed Anaconda and Jupyter. So we try to keep it minimal and we'll try to keep it just theoretical so that by the next session you'll be ready with your Jupyter notebooks installed. And if you have any problem with the installation, you can WhatsApp it or you can put it in the chat box right now. We try to clarify at the end of the session. So without any further ado, let's get started. So before beginning, let us understand what is Python and why it is used widely. So Python is a general purpose language, meaning it can be used to create variety of different programs and it is not specialized for any specific problems. And also Python is a very easy language compared to many other languages such as C, Java or C++ because of its easier syntax. It is just like similar to English. You'll get to understand it once we get into the coding part, and also in the further slides you'll understand why I'm saying so. Well, it was created by Guido van Rossum and it was released in the year 1991. Python is an interpreted, object oriented, and high level programming language. By interpreted, those who are from the CSC background, I think they're pretty sure about what interpreted and object oriented languages are. And for those who do not know, interpreted is like it is executed line after line. That doesn't mean it's not. It means it's not compiled and then executed. It is executed line by line. And object oriented programming, I think everybody is almost familiar with it. And high level programming languages, yes, it is easily understandable by the coder, by the user, the one who is using it. So yeah, so Python is interpreted, object-oriented, and high-level programming language. It is often used to build websites, software, automate tasks, and conduct data analysis. And it is also used in everything from machine learning to building websites and software testing. There are many more applications to it. We also can achieve artificial intelligence easily with Python. And I wouldn't say Python is the only way to achieve it, but I'd rather say it is easier to achieve artificial intelligence and many new technologies is with Python. So why is Python so popular? Let us see. Python has become one of the most popular programming languages in the world in the recent years. A survey conducted by industry analyst firm Redmonk found that it was the most popular programming language among the developers in 2020. It has simple syntax that mimics natural language. As I told before, it is almost similar to English, so any person who is familiar with English can easily understand its syntax and be able to code it. Yes, and in the next point we have Python is an open source language, which means everyone can use it for free. Which means you do not have to pay for the Python developers to use this. Like there are some languages for which you need to pay in order to use them, but which is not the case when it comes to Python. It is beginner friendly, making it popular for every entry level coders. Yes, it is very beginner friendly. You do not have a huge lines of code to write a single print statement. Once we get into the coding part, you'll understand that. Python's archive of modules and libraries, bundles of code that third-party users have created to expand Python's capabilities in vast and growing. Well, Python has got a bunch of modules and libraries which are available, which means it'll give us, you do not have to write huge lines of code. Those are already pre-written, and you can simply import those modules and libraries, and you can use the code. So it makes it easier for a coder to develop any sort of technology or any sort of application. That is why Python is widely popular. Well, this is a picture of the statistics that were taken in the year 2020 about the popularity of programming language. As you can see, Python stands as the most popular language in the world according to the ranking in 2020 with a 30.64 percentage of popularity. And next stands Java. So we saw the reasons, and we are seeing how much of demand exists for Python in the market. So which is the reason it is very important to learn Python. So now, without any further ado, let's get started into the course. Let's start with something basic first of all. Let's start with the keywords. So Python has 33 keywords. Keywords are something that which cannot be used as variables or any other identifiers. What are identifiers? We'll get to know. Well, these are reserved words, which means these 33 words has their own significance and their own meaning. So you shouldn't be using these as your variable names or function names or any other identifier. So these are some reserved words, and these are case sensitive, which means if you write them instead of capital letter, if you use a small letter to them, the meaning will be changed, the function would be changed. Yes, and except true, false, and none, there are these three keywords. There are three keywords: true, false, and none. These start with the capital case, and rest of the words they are totally lowercase. And yes, here is the list of the Python keywords. And as I told you, Python is very easier to understand for a beginner too. It is almost similar to English, so that is the reason it is easily understandable. As you can see, the keywords also false. That's a Boolean thing, right? You can easily understand if if you see some word like false in your code, right? And so is none, true, and continue, as, assert. We'll see about these rest of the keywords such as assert and async. There are some meanings to it which we may not understand as of now, but once we get into the coding part, we'll get to know them. And yeah, there might be some things which are not like very similar to English. Words such as def, del, elif, some things like that. Well, those who are familiar with coding would have known if else conditions, right? I'd expect some answers in the comment section, please. Let's make it interactive, guys. Let's not, I don't want it to be a monologue. Let us try to keep it as a dialogue. Yes, thank you so much for that response. Yeah, so those who are familiar with coding would have definitely known if else thing, right? So you write if, you put a condition, and if it is true, perform this set of code, and if not, we write the else part. And if you want to extend it, we'll write it as if else if. So in Python, what we do is instead of writing the word else if, there is a keyword called elif, which is similar to else if. So that is it. See, this is that simple. That is the reason Python is so popular. It is very similar to English. If you're familiar with English, you can learn Python quite easily. Let us get into the identifiers now. Identifiers are names that are given to variables, functions, or object classes which are user defined. Like if you are trying to write a function, if you're trying to define a function and you want to give a name to it, so that is a function name, right? All such kind of things which are written by the user, the coder, the programmer, those are called as identifiers. And identifiers are case sensitive, which means if you write uh, let us I'm sorry about that. Well, so yeah, by case sensitive, I mean if you're trying to define a function, my function, let us say, and if you write a capital M instead of small m, then the meaning would be completely different. Which means there are two different functions with capital M and small m if you're defining both of them. Once we get into the coding part, I'll execute it to you and let you know. I'll show it to you so that it'll be easier. I'll show it to you by the end of the session if we have enough time. So yeah, an identifier starts with a letter capital A to capital Z or smaller a to small z or an underscore, and it can be followed by zero or more letters, underscores, and digits. So there are some basic rules and a set of rules which have to be followed when we are declaring an identifier, when we are using an identifier. So these are some valid examples for ig- identifiers. Let us say var1 underscore var1 underscore 1 underscore var underscore 1, which means you can start an identifier with either an alphabetical character or else an underscore. Never start or use special characters while writing using an identifier. Never do that because it throws an error. It's not like the system is gonna collapse, it throws an error. So yeah, don't do that. See, these are the invalid identifiers. As you can see, exclamatory var1. Even if you write var1 exclamatory, it will throw an error because only these characters are allowed in Python to use an identifier, which is basic in every language, you know. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Yes, I think we are clear about this, about the identifiers. Could I get a yes, please, if you're clear about it, or do I have to explain it again? Can I get a yes or no in the comment section, please? Yes, thank you for the response. I expect some no's also. If there is a no, I'll be happy to help. Okay, so I think there is a no anywhere. Okay, so I'll be proceeding. So yeah, we'll be going to the next part, which is literals. Python literals can be defined as a data that is given in a variable or a constant. Well, there are different kinds of literals, such as there are like set of characters basically. It could be numerical or alphabetical, anything. Okay, so Python supports the following literals. We have these set of literals. The first thing is the first type is string literals. String literals can be formed by enclosing a text in the quotes. We can use both single as well as double quotes to create a string. So yes, string literals is, as I told before, it is a set of characters. We are enclosing them in single quotations or double quotations. Like if you write double quotations aman, it is equivalent to writing single quotation aman. Let me show that. Let us get into some coding part as well because it's going to be boring if we all go to the theoretical part only. Yeah, as Pavan Anna told before, yeah, this is the Jupyter interface, and I'm just taking a notebook. Yes, here I have a blank notebook. So this is how it looks, and yeah, you can write the comments using this just a hash. You can write anything. Let us say hello GPREC. If you run, it will be completely ignored. And let us say I want to write something like Hello, folks. It's always hello world, right? Let's change it. So yeah, that will be printed. So it is that easier to use the Jupyter Notebook. And let us say now I want a string literal to be assigned to a character. Okay, to be assigned to a variable. I'm sorry. Now let us say I'm saying my name is equal to Himacha. Okay, if you write it that way, it's correct. Now if I want to print it, I can simply write it as print my name. That is it. And if you guys notice, one thing that is speciality of Python is that you do not have to declare anything, any sort of characters, anything in Python. You do not have to declare. Now if you want to do the same thing in Java or let's say in C, what would you do? Like let us say you're taken, let us say in Java. I'm just ignoring all the public void static main part. So Java developers, please don't kill me. So yeah, um, string my name is equal to. You'll have to write all of this, right? Something like that. You have to write the semicolon. All these semicolons, these declarations, everything is removed in Python. We do not have to do that. So you have to write all of this in Java, which is not the case when it comes to Python. You don't have to do all of this. It's not necessary, right? Am I correct? Is this how we do it in Java? Can I get a yes or no, please? Yes, thank you. So yeah, this is how we do it. And here we do not have to write the string as I've mentioned. Here I'm declaring it like this particular character, it's a string. I do not have to do the same. It'll automatically the Python's interpreter it'll automatically understand. Since we are assigning it's a string, it'll automatically understand. So let us see. Now I want to take another variable. Let us say weight is equal to Himaja. Into weight. Okay. Now this is also allowed. Like both, either if you are writing it in a single quotation or double quotation, both the things are allowed. So that is something very beneficial. I'll say why. Because let us say I want to, let me just erase this. Let us use this as like a backend. I don't know. Let us use this. Yeah. So let us say I want to print something like, I'm sorry, something like this. Himaja's book. Okay. Something like this. If I want to do this. And if I write it in a single quotation itself, okay, is this okay now? Somebody asked, yeah, Sohail, is it okay now? If that isn't okay, we can continue. Is the font size okay now, everyone? Or do I have to increase it even more? Oh, well, there's a question. If we use double quotes, how does compiler take a character and a string? Well, that's the thing here. There isn't any, we'll get into the data types, you'll understand it better. Well, the thing is, in Python, that you don't have to mention it separately like it is a string or a character. You do not have to mention it. Okay, if I just want to take a single character, you can just simply write it in double quotes or single quotes, and then you either one is fine. Okay, see that will work. And if you want to enclose that in a single double quotes, that will also work. If you noticed, uh, either thing works. And why one advantage of using this is like double quotations and single quotations. The advantage of using this is I want to write something like this. Himaja's book. Okay. So now if I want to say what two in that, if I write Himaja's book, it'll throw an error, okay? Because whenever it encounters the first single quotation, like after it began, whenever it encounters the first single quotation, that will be the end of the string, okay? So if I try to run this, it'll throw me an error saying there is a syntactical error. Okay, so that is the advantage we have. Now, if I want to do the same thing here, images. Since I wrote the entire string in double quotes, the string is starting with a double quote, and inside the string, I can write whatever I want. But if I try to write another double quote, it'll definitely throw me an error. See, I hope it's clear now. So if you just simply want to take a character also, you can write either in a single quote or double quote and store it in a variable. Okay, either thing works. I hope it's clear. Yeah, thank you. And you don't have to call me ma'am. You can just simply call me Himaja. I'd be fine with it. So yes, let's move on. Let's get back to the slides. Yes. So yeah, if you write single quote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like this, that will be considered as a string, not as an integer. So if you try to perform any sort of arithmetic operators on a string, it will throw you error. Okay, please keep that in mind. If you're writing anything inside double quotes or single quotes, that entire thing will be considered as a string. Once we get on to hands-on in the next session, we will do it simultaneously. I would expect you all to install the Jupyters. I mean, you install Anaconda and then launch Jupyter in it, so that it will be even more interactive. Yes, and there are types of string. There are two types of strings supported in Python: single line strings and double line strings, or multi-line strings, we can say. So single line strings are strings that are terminated within a single line. Okay, for example, we took an example in the previous Jupyter thing also. Like I took example of my name is equal to Himaja, which is enclosed in double quotation or single quotations. Like that is useful when you just simply want to write it in a single line. Now, let us say I want to write a huge paragraph and I want the entire paragraph to be saved inside a variable, you know, and yeah, if I want to do that, and if I write it in a single quotation, it'll throw me an error. So, for that, we have lines. I don't think I did not write, I don't think I wrote it here. But no problem. Once we get onto the hands on, we'll practice everything. So, don't worry about it. See, if I want to write something like, Himaja, and if I want to write something from, I just can't do it, like it just goes to the next line. And this is called as indentation. We'll get that. I don't want to get into many details and confuse you people. That's the reason I'm going slow. You can't do with single quotations, you can't do the multi-line strings. It'll throw you an error. It'll throw an end of line. So that's the reason. This is the end of line error. It'll throw you this. So that's the reason you can only restrict this to the single line strings. We'll get back to this, okay? Yes. So the second category is numeric literals. Literals are immutable. They can belong to four types of numeric literals. We have different kind of numeric literals available. Those are int, long, float, and complex. Yes, Python also offers a special type that is complex, which we do not use quite frequently anywhere in our coding purpose. We do not use complex in our regular coding, nor in any advanced coding as well. We do not use it, but just for the knowledge, Python also offers a numeric data type called as complex. Just keep it in mind. It'll be useful. And next we have Boolean literals. They can be, there are only two values, okay, true or false. So if you're trying to say something, if you're trying to return a value, if you want to know either that is true or false, these are the data types we have. These are Boolean literals, true and false. Please keep that in mind. These are keywords, and there's an exception: true, false, and none. These three are the only keywords which start with a capital. So please keep that in mind. I think in the previous slides I have mentioned that. So I hope you remember. Please try to recall. Yes, if you can see, except true, false, and none, all the rest of the keywords are lowercase. They start with a lowercase. In between also, we do not get any kind of uppercases. So please keep that in mind. These three are the exceptions: true, false, and none. Okay, please kindly remember that. Okay, so there is yes. Here we come. There's a special literal called as none. None is used to specify that one particular field that is not created. It is also used for the end of lists in Python. Okay, will get into the details when we get into the hands-on. When we get into lists, I'll explain all of that to you. Because of the time constraint, I cannot take much of your time. That's the reason I couldn't explain you what lists are. But we will get into the details. Please hold on to that. We'll definitely get into them. Yes, here we come to the operators. So we have different operators, like just like in any other programming language, just like in C or Java. Yeah, we have the following operators here. Those are arithmetic operators, which are used to perform mathematical operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, modular division. Well, there are some more, arithmetic operators, which I did not show here. But if I show it here, maybe it will be a bit confusing. So let us, when we get into the hands-on, when we are practicing it, we'll practice all of this. Okay, please kindly hold on to that. And we have comparison operators. Comparison or relation operators are greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, double, like equal to, not equal to. These compare the values. Okay, it either, yes, this is where Boolean comes into the picture. So whenever you're writing some if condition, you write some condition inside the brackets. So after the evaluation, it will return you either true or false. Okay. So while using the relational operators, what these return is the Boolean values, true or false. Okay. Please keep that in mind. And next comes the logical operators. Logical operators perform logical operations such as and or not operations. It is used to combine the conditional statements. Shall we go to some example, or shall we just stick with the theory? I'd like to take your opinion, people. Some yes or no in the comment box, please. Okay. Some, okay, let's go to some example. I'll go to some new cell so that there are no errors. Let me delete this. Yes. So if is also a keyword, okay? Please keep that in mind. Now I'm assigning A is equal to some 5. B is equal to some 4. Now, if A greater than B, okay, please, here you can also see the syntax, how it is declared. So you can also keep that in mind. And if you do not know how the syntax is, don't worry, we are here for it. We'll guide you with it in the upcoming session, so don't worry about it. I'm sorry. Yeah. If A is greater than B, print hey. Else, print hello. Okay. So we'll be running this. So what's happening here is, let us see, a is equal to 5 and b is equal to 4. Okay, so when is the code inside the if block is executed? When the condition written inside the if conditional box, if that returns a true value, that is when this print hey is printed, right? And if it returns a false, it will go to the else. If there is an else, it checks for it, the control, and then this print hello, this one is printed. Okay, so let us take another variable, which is 6. Okay, now I want to check the condition. Let us say a is greater than b, and also I want a to be greater than c. Only then this print hey will be printed. This hey will be printed. Okay, so how would I check that? Usually, what we do in C is, uh, what we usually do in C is we use this symbol. If you are familiar with coding, I think most of the people here are second year and third year, if I'm not wrong. Am I correct? Yes, yes. So, uh, so I'm sure most of you are familiar with C language, at least, irrespective of the branches. Everybody were taught C. So yeah, this ampersand symbol, double ampersand, this was used to represent logical AND. Oh God, I'm so sorry. Right? And this symbol right here, it was used for logical R, right? So now for a normal person who is completely new to programming, who doesn't know anything, it'll be very confusing for him to see symbols like this and this, isn't it? So if you just look at the statement, any normal person can easily understand. Okay, so we are comparing A is greater than B and A is greater than C. Now see, and is very simple, right? Like you want this also and this also. Like these two values should return true for this code block of code to be executed. Okay, it is that simple. So see here there are two logical operators. A is greater than C. I'm sorry, A is greater than B and A is greater than C. Right? So I want to check both these conditions at once. So for that reason, I need an operator, which is we are using AND operator, logical operator, which is AND. So syntax, it's quite simple, A and D. That's it. You do not have to remember it. It's not like very difficult. So that is the reason we keep saying Python is very easy. So see, now here A is greater than B, it is true, and A is greater than C, it's false, right? Like A is equal to 5 and C is equal to 6, which is equivalent to like 5 is greater than 6, which is false. So it returns a false. And operators is like both the conditions should be satisfied for that block to be executed. Since one is false, it returns false totally. So hello is printed because it goes to the else block. Okay. So that is how we use the logical operators here. So instead of or, you can use and you can use or also. Now it checks like either one should be true. Okay. The thing with or is like either this should happen or that should happen or both should happen for the condition to be true. Okay. So now A is greater than B, which is true. So you do not have to care about the rest of the part. Okay. Like A is greater than C. Even if that returns false, it doesn't matter because the first part of the code, it is true. So this will be printed. Now if we run this, hey, see, hey is printed. Now I hope it was clear. Could I get an yes or no, please? Yes, thank you so much for that response. Okay, let's move on. So this was about the logical operators, and not is also used in the same way. I could say Not is also a logical operator, but it is not used with combining two set of expressions. How we are using not, we will see. Okay. And next, bitwise operators, we have bitwise and bitwise or, bitwise XOR, double right shift, left shift, which are not quite usually used in programming. But if you are into the competitive programming, then I'm sorry. But if you're into competitive programming, then there is a chance you might have to use them. But usually we don't. But we will see the usage of all of those uh, in the further sessions. So please hold on to that. Yes, we'll be going to the next thing, assignment operators. Well, assignment operators are like you are assigning the value of something, like some value to some variable. Okay. For this, I think we have to go to some example. Let's go to some example for understanding it better. Yes. Now let's say not a again. Let's go with x is equal to 5. Okay. Now something like, now I don't want the value of 5 to be 5 itself. Okay. Now I want the value of 5 to be incremented by, let us say, 2. Now I want 5 to I want to add 2 to 5. Okay. So now instead of doing like x is equal to x plus 2, something like this, and then print x, first let us see this. Okay. Initially x value was 5. We incremented it by 2. So now here you see this equivalent to, right? This equal symbol. Now that is called an assignment operator. We shouldn't call it equal to, technically we should call it an assignment operator, because it is not checking if the value is equals. It's not doing that. The equal symbol here, its job is to assign things. Okay. So now let us, you just see here, it's like writing x 2 times. Since x is a small variable name, it is easier. Now let us say I have some variable name like you know um, industrial company something. Okay. I'm being very random with the words. I'm sorry about it. Now let us say they have some variable name, something like this, okay, is equal to 5. Now if I want to increment it like this, like I did with x, I have to write this entire name once again, right? It's gonna be very laborious, you'd have to keep writing it again and again and again, especially while you're writing like lengthy lines of code, it'll be laborious. So instead of doing that, we can do this simple thing. I'm taking y this time. Y is equal to 8 and y plus equals to 2. Now I'll print y. What would be the output? Can you please guess it? Could you please? Any guesses? And it's completely okay if you're feeling like going way too fast. I understand. If you think I'm going too fast, you can just stop me anywhere. I'd be happy to help. Yes, someone told it's 10. Like, do I expect any more answers? Okay, I think that is it. Yes, Hitesh, you are right. The answer is 10. So yeah, now this line of code we see here, it's exactly equal to y is equal to y plus 2. So instead of writing this entire thing, we can simply write it like y plus equals to 2. It is not only confined to Python. You can do the same thing in C language as well. We have the flexibility. You can simply do that. It is easier. Similarly, star equals, y star equals 10. Now, may I expect some output, please? What would be the output? Anyone? Now, what would be the value of y? Okay, I got one answer. Rest of the people, please. Okay, so yeah, the answer is 100. Please don't be confused why it is not 8 anymore, because y's value is not 8 anymore because we incremented it here. If you see, now this is an operator. This is also an assignment operator. See, I told you this statement is exactly equal to the one written in the comments. This one, right? I'm sorry. These two are exactly equal. So what we are doing is we are changing the value of y. We are assigning 10 to it. Okay. So that is the reason now the y's value is updated to 10. It was initially 8. Then we updated it to 10. And then we are multiplying it with 10 again. So it is now it is equivalent to y is equal to y into 10. Okay. So now here y's value is 10 here. Okay, initially. Now it is equivalent to 100. Okay. So that is the reason it is printed. And let me show you one more feature of Jupyter Notebook. You can just simply write it as y and print it, and you'd still get the output. Oh my god, I'm sorry. It's just keeping on happening now. So that's the reason. Yeah. So you, as you can see, I did not write the entire statement like print of y. I did not do that. I simply just wrote it as y, and you still get the output. So this is one of the features of Jupyter Notebook. You can simply write it like that. I mean, it's not quite advisable for people who are into coding. You don't do that. Go write, keep writing the entire statement like print of y. But you just simply want to check. It will be easier if you just simply write it as y, because you don't have, sometimes it'll be laborious to write it over and over again. So that's the reason I just gave you a small thing like, just a second, m equals 6, m. That's it. Okay. You don't have to keep trying to print statement all the time. This is some sort of shortcut I can say. Okay, back to the slides again. Before we go back to the slides, let's just take a 1 minute break, just a 1 minute break. Meanwhile, I want to know how many people are from second year and how many are from third, so that I'd understand my audience better. So could you please quickly write that in the chat box, please? We have 26 people. I want the 26 replies in the chat box. Come on, people. I only received 2 replies. I'd expect some more replies, please. Let's make it interactive, please. I'd like to tell one thing. The thing with Python is that, not only with Python, with any language, if you want to learn anything, one major thing, I mean, from I learned it from my experience, like it's very good if we try to keep things interactive, so that it will be easier for us to understand the audience, and also for you to understand us. Just please be free with us. It's not like we know everything and we like, it's not that. You know, we're all equals here. We are all learning. We are all here to learn. So let's do that together. Let's have some coordination. So please try to keep it interactive. Okay, we are moving back. So we are done with the operators. I think it's clear. Okay, is not. Yes. So these are the assignment operators. We are done with the assignment operators, and next we are going with the identity operators. Is and is not are the identity operators. Both are used to check if two values are located on the same part of the memory or not. Two variables that are equal do not imply that they are identical. Okay, so for this, let us have an example to understand this better. Okay, uh, by block of memory, it might seem very confusing, but trust me, it's very easy. Okay, let me have some new slide, new cell. Now I'm assigning m is equal to 10, and I'm assigning some y is equal to 10. If m is double equal to y, print, what should we write? GPREC. What would be the output? It's GPREC because both the values are equal, right? Now I'm writing it as if m is y, print GDSC else, print machine learning. Okay. Okay. So the thing here is, though these two values are same, and here they m and y are the pointers referring to the same memory location. You know what is used to check whether these two are referring to the same memory locations or not. Sometimes, though they are referring to the same, they have the same value, doesn't imply that they belong to same memory location. So that is when comes into place. So it is checked to use it to check whether these two variables are pointing to the same memory reference. Okay. For the people those who are from non CSE background, don't worry, you'll keep up with us. Once we get into it, you'll slowly understand everything. No issues. Okay, membership operators. Membership operators are in, not in. These two are the membership operators that we use. Sorry. Okay. In and not in other membership operators, these are used to test whether a value is given in a sequence. Uh, these are usually used when we deal with lists and tuples or range function. So once we get into that, we will see these in detail. So, but for now, just remember in and not in. Like generally in usual English that we use, in usually refers to something that is there inside something, right? It's the same thing here also. Like in is used to check whether some particular value is present in a set of values. Okay, please hold on to that for now. Once we deal with lists and tuples, we'll get into that in details. Okay. Now let's get into some math commands. So math is a library which is available in Python. You can directly import it and you can use the functions that are available in it without having to, declare all of that or write your own functions. You can directly just import those functions and just use them. It's way too convenient and easier. So some functions, arithmetic functions that we have are factorial, ceil, float, trunc, log, etc., etc. We have many such. See, that is the thing with Python. Everything is almost available. You don't have to do anything new. Everything is available. All you need to do is utilize them properly. You also have GCD, F sum, square root, power, exponent, etc. Let's go to the next one. So these are some basic terminology that we use, like not only in Python, like usually in programming language. There are expression. So by expression we mean just nothing. It's a little combination of symbols to represent a value. Okay, these terms seem very big, like legal combination symbols. Expression is just a statement, like like we wrote a is greater than b. That's an expression. you know Anything that has got a combination of symbols or like literals, like numeric values or some variables, and we are using some operators on it, and that entire set written in a proper format, giving a meaningful line of code, that is called as expression. So I'm sorry. See, now this thing, what we wrote here, this is an expression. This is also an expression. Like anything that we are writing in the code, to something that's evaluating, everything is an expression. Okay, all these are just basic terms. Okay, and statement, instruction that performs certain action. Like let us say print, we are writing a statement, print of something, right? So that is also a statement. It is giving some instructions. So that print word, it has got a meaning. Like it's a function. What Whenever we call that function and we are giving it some parameters, what it's doing is it's just displaying that in the in the output. So that could be a statement. Just a line of code is called a statement in short. And comments are the additional information regarding the source. So yeah, comments, I think most of you are familiar with it. Comments are usually just lines of some statement we write, which is totally ignored by the compiler or the interpreter. It doesn't care what is written in it. Like in the example, you see I wrote it here, right? I used a hash and I wrote this entire part. It will be ignored by the compiler. It doesn't care what you wrote in there. You can even say something like, hi, I am so and so. I like coding, etc. Not logits, like anything. The compiler doesn't care. Like what is in there, it doesn't care. All that if you have started some line with a hash, then the compiler, the interpreter, it will understand. Okay, this person, he is trying to write something so that the other coder who will read this code, who will read this line of code, he's writing it for them. It doesn't have to be compiled or interpreted, so the interpreter automatically understands. So you can use hash to write a single line comment. Okay, so once you write the hash, and if you try to write something like this or anything, it will throw an error. It's not defined, right? It will throw an error. So how to achieve the multi-line comments, we will see here. You see, and the codes are used for the multi-line comments. Okay, now if you want to write not only a single line, it may go extend to like multiple lines, we can use the quotations. Okay, now let us get into function is nothing but a block of code. It'll have a name, and when you can call that particular name again and again, and that will have some specific functionality, as the name suggests. You'll write a block of code and inside some name, and whenever you call that name, that particular block of code will be executed. So that is how a function works. Its syntax and everything, since it's the first day, I don't want to get into details. So we will see all of that in the upcoming sessions. And next, block and identification. Uh, yeah, so I'm back with this again. So yeah, if now let's ignore this else part for a while. Okay, now let us see this. Now I wrote if some condition, and I wrote some block of code, print hey, and I'm writing some. Don't think inside the if statement you need to write only printf statements. No, you can write some updations or anything. Okay, but for simplicity, I'm printing a again, print b, and print c. Okay, so I'm doing this now, and I'll run it. So all those are printed. So now you see these 4 lines of code, right? Now I can call this the block of code. Okay, like these 4 lines of code, I can call this a block under if. So this is an if block, And inside this, I wrote these four conditions. All of those belong to one single block. Okay. So, if I simply just give a space, backspace like this, it will throw an indentation error. So indentation error is, so one feature of Python is that indentation is important. Indentation is just a space, okay? It's just a tab line space. Okay, you just give a one tab space, it'll understand. Whenever you give a tab space, all the uh, all the lines of code which has the same tab spaces, those will be considered as one block of code. This is one feature of Python. So like this is equal to in Python, what do we do in C or Java? We do something like this, right? We enclose all of this inside this flower brackets. Am I correct? So instead of doing, writing it inside the flower brackets, we give a space. That is it. That is the only difference. That's not like any new thing. Indentation is just like giving a gap. That's it. So instead of writing the flower braces and indicating that all of this belong to one set of code, what we do is we are just giving a space, the things under like equal number of spaces. Like you see, they have equal spaces, right? All these four lines, like a one tap space is available here. So the interpreter will understand all of this belongs to the if block. Okay, so that is what this line means. Okay, block and indentation. Sorry about the spelling. Variable and assignment. Variable is a named value. Let me just go to the slides better. Yes. So variable and assignment. Named value can be changed in process during a program run and are referred to objects. It's not the reference. Okay. So variable, it's just a name given to the block of memory. Okay. So we are storing a number called number 5 in some variable m. So that is called a variable, and we are the process of storing the value of 5 in the m is called assignment. Okay. It's just a simple term. These are the basic terms that are required to know. Okay. And these are Python strings. We already dealt with strings before. Like just we are doing it just like a recap. Strings in Python are surrounded by the single quotation marks or double quotation marks as we discussed before. See, single quotation hello is equivalent, is like same as double quotation hello. We can display a literal with Python function. Like you can just simply write print hello. Okay, you can just simply do that. You do not have to assign that to some variable and then print that variable. You can simply do this. Okay, this is allowed in Python. String is stored as individual characters in continuous locations. I'm sorry. They're stored in the continuous memory locations. Length of the string can be determined using the function length. We can just simply call the function length. How to use that? We will see. Okay. Since we are not dealing with the functions yet, I'm not going into it. Once we get into the functions, I'll deal with all the built-in and the user-defined functions, so you can understand it easier. So okay, so the length of this hello is 5, right? So if you do not know the length of the string, you can call the length function. Okay. Individual letter of a string cannot be changed because the string is immutable, meaning they have left to right order and cannot be changed in place. Yes. So once a string is declared, it's assigned to some variable, or if it is ever declared, you cannot change it. It will throw you an error. So how it throws an error, we will see in the further, because we are not dealing with this. There's a topic called string slicing. We are not getting into it, so we will deal with it. Okay, we'll have a session on strings, especially when we are dealing with strings. We will come to know about all those. So, as I told you before, the reason for including both single quotation and double quotation is that it allows you to embed a quote character of the other inside a string. Like you see, you can write nights. So, if you just simply only if either single quotation or double quotation is allowed, you cannot write something like this, nights inside the double quotation, something like that. I hope you understood what I meant. Yes, finally, we come to this. So these are the entire data types which are available in Python. There are numeric, dictionary, Boolean, set, and sequence type. Please hold on with the other three: sequence type, set, and dictionary. We did not deal with all of those because we use them as data structures as well. They are built in. So we will come to them later again. Please don't get confused. As of now, we dealt with the strings, integers, complex, and float. Okay, these are the things that we dealt in the today's class. So let's quickly just check what we dealt with. We dealt with what is Python. We dealt with why Python is so popular, the popularity, and also we dealt with the keywords and with the identifiers, literals, both all the types of literals, and the operators. And we saw some examples as well, and the math commands. I just showed you this, but we did not use any of them. It's okay. We are not dealing with the libraries yet, nor with the functions. So when we are dealing with the functions, we'll get back to this. Okay. And some basic terminology and the strings. And this is like a simple summary of what we discussed so far. And that is it. By this, we come to the end of the session. And any questions? We are now open to questions. Anybody is held back before from asking questions, they can ask very freely now. It's okay. We'd really appreciate it if you just could make it faster if you have any questions to ask so that we could, which is the most used library in Python. Okay, it's not like most used library in Python exactly. It depends on which, why you're using, what you're using Python for. Like, if you're using it for to achieve machine learning or something, there are different sort of libraries. Numpys and pandas are usually the ones we deal with the most. If that answers your question, numpys and pandas are used because we need to use arrays, etc. Numerical Python, there's numpy, and the pandas. These are the I wouldn't say most widely used, most frequently used, I can say. And yeah, how is Python going to help us in machine learning? Okay, so as we saw before, as we saw in the slides and also in the examples, Python is very easier to understand. It's just like English, and the the number of codes that we lines of codes that we need to write is much lesser when compared to any other programming language, and also the huge range of libraries that are existing in Python helps us easier to write the lines of code required to achieve the machine learning or any other latest technology. It doesn't only confine to machine learning. You can also extend it to artificial intelligence and many others, even the web development. There are such wide range of applications for Python. So the basic reason uh, we use Python for the machine learning is this: the wide range of libraries available, and also the easier syntax. So these are the main reasons we use it. Are we going to have session on pandas? Yes, we will be having session on different Python libraries, not only pandas. We will have sessions on NumPy, pandas, and many others. Basically which are useful for machine learning. We will have them in future, and we will let you know. Since we'll be occupied with exams, both second year and third year, we all have exams in the next month, in the next week. So we wouldn't be having any. I don't think we'll be having any session. We'll let you know soon about the upcoming sessions. But in the earlier sessions, we'll be dealing with the basic Python coding, so that will be easier for the beginners to understand. I think that answered your questions. Any more questions? Can we know all the syntax differences from C? Yes, definitely. We will Yeah, that is the reason I asked all of you to kindly install Jupyter and Anaconda by the next session. We will let you know when the next session is going to be on. Uh, Once we announce, we expect all of you to, install Jupyter so that we can execute it. And also, I'll tell you the syntax difference between C and Python. Don't worry, I did not cover any much of syntax in Python today's Python class. We will cover all of that slowly. We'll take it slow, so that because basic things are very important for us to understand the further sessions also. So let's try to keep the basics strong. Okay. Yes, we will have the syntax differences. We will know you. We will let you know the differences between C and Python. Any more questions? Okay, I take it as you have no more questions. If there are any more questions, and if you've missed this session, and if you're watching this video again, if you're coming back to the video, and if you have any questions with us, you can contact us directly on our WhatsApp groups, or you can contact us personally. Either would be no problem. Anything would be fine. So I think we by this we come to the end of the session, and in today's session we covered by the features of Python, why Python is used. We started with the features of Jupyter Notebook, and we went on with the basic things like identifiers, string literals, and the basic data types that are available in Python. And also we saw some examples on how to use the arithmetic operators and many operators such as logical operators as well. So I hope you hold on with this till the next session. We will also have some hands-on, some questions like hackathon sort of things for you so that you retain all this information. So we will see you on the next session. Till then, have a great
And
weekend ahead.
guys, please join through RSVP link from next class onwards. So if you join directly through YouTube, we will not get attendance. Okay. So if you have any issues regarding that RSVP registration, so please contact us, or you can post in our WhatsApp group. Okay, from next class onwards, please try to join through RSVP links, and also try to install Jupyter Notebook in your laptops or PCs so that you can do parallel with us. Okay,
Yes,
and
and also
as
please try to, yeah, and also please kindly try to join on your laptops, because as I told, Jupyter is by the next session. If you have it, we'd be able to do it simultaneously. It would be more engaging and also informative and interactive. So please do that by the next session.
and probably we may take next session after these sessional exams. Okay, so get ready by then.
And also, please remember all these knowledge that you are learning here. It'll be useful anywhere you go, either in the interviews or even you can just put it in your CV. Like I know a bit of Python. Okay, so it will be very useful. So please make sure you attend the sessions. Don't think we can just simply check it on YouTube again. Please don't do that. Try to attend the sessions so that it will be interactive and you can even solve your doubts. It'll be even easier for us. To clear your doubts in the flow. It'll be easier for both of us. Okay, so please kindly do that, and by the till next session, see you all.
And thank you guys for joining the session. Thank you.